everyone, how y'all doing today? It is so good to have you back. And by the way, if you press that red subscribe button right now, you will become a Disney fan officially. So, I don't know what's stopping you. Just press that button. And I really hope Disney's never going to sue me. Today, we are talking about all of Disney's movies that we have ranked so far. Come hang out with us and talk Disney movies down in the comments. We love to have you. And I read every comment that you guys leave. So definitely talk with me down there. In this case, there are going to probably be a couple of different movies that you don't necessarily agree with me on. If you agree or disagree, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I have no idea what I'm going to find as I go through these in order. We'll start with Snow White and go all the way up to Oliver and Company. Let's jump into this right now. So the first movie that we have is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Like I said, I have no idea where I ranked these, so we're going to have to find them together. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I ranked as a meh rating. I like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's not my favorite movie by any means. It's not the best movie as far as animation goes, but animation was kind of the main part of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I really didn't like its character development. Its animation, like I said in the review, I think they kind of look like the two main characters kind of look like just potatoes with wigs on. And look at that picture. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong, but I ranked it the low end of the meh rating. Pinocchio is a much better movie. I have it on the low end of the best rated movies. I love the flyover scene. A lot of that has to do more with technology, but the multiplane use at that point is just gorgeous. All of the characters also fit in a lot better with the foreground and the background, so that the foreground and the background actually look like they match. On Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the background was a little bit more detailed than the foregrounds were, so I didn't like that quite as much. Fantasia lost a ton of money because it was considered way too pretentious, and it is way too pretentious. I am not a fan of Fantasia. But it does have a couple of instances of beautiful animation. However, in this case, I put the animation very, very low. I have a feeling if I were to go back through this at this point, I would say that Fantasia's animation is much better than I think it is right now, because there's something very cool about that early animation and the sketchiness of it and feeling the animators behind it. But in this case, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to change any of my ratings. So whatever I rated on the first time, that's what it gets, because I'm not doing this again. So I gave it the worst rating, but I gave it the highest part of the worst rating. Dumbo needed to make the money back from what Fantasia lost, and it succeeded in that, but it was also insanely simple. The backgrounds were done in watercolor. It was a very, very simple movie, and it achieved what it needed to. It's very storybook-like. It does have foreground and background animation that really match well together. You never feel like something had more time spent on it than another element. So I definitely have no real qualms with this movie. And let's see where I ranked it. I have no idea where I ranked it. We're in this together, guys. I'm surprised I have it that low. I have it as the worst, one of the worst movies. It is only 3 from the bottom. That is very surprising to me, actually. I suppose I just did that because it is so simple overall. But there is something very charming, I think, in the animation of Dumbo. Bambi, I thought, was an absolutely gorgeous movie. It is the top-rated movie for animation. The foreground, the background look beautiful. The animals, while they look human enough to relate to, they also are very realistic looking. They're expressive enough, but they also look like they're real animals. It was It's beautiful. Saludos amigos. If I haven't made it clear yet, I am not a fan of any of these package films. However, in the animation department, some of them are a little bit decent. Saludos amigos is not one of them. I didn't really like Saludos amigos on any level. And it receives the second to worst rating that you could possibly have in this category. Three Caballeros, on the other hand, I liked Three Caballeros substantially better than Saludos Amigos. However, I felt like Three Caballeros was kind of just a redo. I gave it the low end of the meh rating. Make My Music, I gave kind of the middle of the worst. It's just, again, it's the package films. The animation looked subpar, didn't have anything that was too beautiful, and it was very similar in concept to Fantasia. The next movie is Fun and Fancy Free, and I detest this movie in just about every single way. It received the last place of animation. The animation foreground and background, I just felt like there were stupid looking characters. It was very cartoony. It didn't have anything that was of any real interest as far as the look of it goes, or there wasn't much anyway. Not a fan. I think I've made that clear. I think I probably put Melody Time somewhat high. Yes, I did. Meh rating, but the middle of the meh rating. I surprisingly liked Melody Time in a lot of different ways. It had some pretty beautiful music. The thing that really comes to mind is the Johnny Appleseed sketch. And you can see my brother and I talk about that. If you go to either the card or the description down below, I'll have it linked there. I really enjoyed some of those scenes. And there legitimately was some beautiful animation in Melody Time. I really loved Ichabod and Mr. Toad in a lot of different ways. It's received a pretty high rating overall, and I gave it, in this case, third place from the top. In the best rating, it receives third place. Very, very good. I have to wonder if maybe part of it was just the relief of, a storyline, and it has pretty animation and it all goes together. It might have very well been that, because I'm not quite sure that I don't know. I think it does deserve better rating than 101 Dalmatians. It says it's better than Cinderella though, so I don't agree there. But I mean, these are my ratings, so I'm disagreeing with myself. So you can psychoanalyze me however you want if you want to do that. Link in the comments. Just go down there and psychoanalyze me. Tell me what I think. I'd love to be psychoanalyzed by you. That sounds awesome. Speaking of Cinderella, Cinderella was the next movie. And I mean, I can't imagine that I had completely forgotten about Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So I feel like there was a reason why I put Cinderella right behind Ichabod and Mr. Toad at the time, because there's no way it was in front of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. But I do think Cinderella has absolutely beautiful animation. It's very romantic looking, and that's what I really love about it. The edges are almost a little bit blurred, and they have a Mary Blair style. I mean, Mary Blair just blows me away every time she designed anything. So I definitely love Cinderella's animation, but apparently I didn't love it more than Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So go figure that out. Alice in Wonderland is gorgeous. And again, Mary Blair, Mary Blair all over it. It was a beautiful movie, and I love looking at the animation of Alice in Wonderland. It received the best rating, but the lower end of the best rating. The next movie was Peter Pan, and I feel like Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland are almost exactly the same in almost every single category. They are very similar types of movies in just about every way, and as far as animation goes, they're very similar too. I put Peter Pan just below Alice in Wonderland. It received the lower end of the best rating. The next movie was Lady and the Tramp, and I do think that Lady and the Tramp is a spectacularly beautiful movie. What really sticks out to me about Lady and the Tramp is the way that we visually communicate that Tramp's area is much less cushy and happy than Lady's area. There are also times when the trees or the grass just looks almost real in that movie. I mean, obviously it's not, it's a cartoon, but for animation, I mean, it is, especially for hand-drawn animation, it's very detailed and very beautiful. So I really enjoyed that a lot. If there is one place where Sleeping Beauty really, really excels, it's in its animation. Or maybe I should say more, it's in its animated backgrounds. The backgrounds are absolutely beautiful, and I love the background animation, but the foreground animation has some weird stuff in it. There was kind of some infighting in the Disney company at the time because they wanted to make the more rounded characters that looked more like something Disney would make, instead of making like taller characters that would fit in more with the backgrounds of Mary Blair's animation. I gave Sleeping Beauty the worst rating, the high end of the worst rating though. I do maybe feel now in retrospect that it deserves a little bit higher than that. But there's a lot of great animation in these movies. And I mean, honestly, I don't know that there's ever a perfect choice that you could do. But that's my rating for Sleeping Beauty. The next movie is 101 Dalmatians, and I absolutely adore this movie, especially for its animation. The animation in this is absolutely beautiful. It's very sketchy, and it is related to the new technology that they were using at the time. They worked with what they needed to make the new technology work and look beautiful, and because of that, they created a beautiful movie. Very sketchy. It works well for the modern time that they had, and they just adapted so well to the new technologies that were needed that I have no complaints when it comes to this movie's animation. It received 4th place in the best rating overall. Wow. But The Sword and the Stone, on the other hand, is the worst movie in every way, because now it takes the same technology and the same sketchy style, and it tries to turn it into a European fairy tale rather than like a turn-of-the-century story. It doesn't work. It's extremely ugly, and I have no idea why Disney thought that this was a good idea. So overall, I gave The Sword and the Stone the worst category, kind of right in the middle of the worst category. The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book is a beautiful movie overall, but it is kind of one of those middle road movies, kind of in a lot of ways. The Jungle Book actually gets right in the middle for animation. The Aristocats. The Aristocats, I think, does go back to having that beautiful sketchy style. And in that beautiful sketchy style at the time, they still were using it very well. They went into that like 19th century storyline where it looks like it fits a bit better. It's set in Paris. It looks like an artist made it. It's right in the middle, right above Jungle Book. The next movie is Robin Hood. I gave Robin Hood the middle high end of the worst category. It is not one of my favorite movies, and the big issue with Robin Hood is that it reuses animation in a lot of different ways and creates something that's a little bit more lazy. In a way, actually, as I look at it now, I would prefer to switch Dumbo and Robin Hood. Of course, I can't do that. It's out of, well, it was in my hands, but now it's out of my hands. I'm not really sure how to say that. But yeah, can't do anything more with it now. The next movie is Winnie the Pooh, and I do think Winnie the Pooh is a pretty movie. It's a fun movie. It's not one of my favorites, but I guess in my head it's not one of my favorites, but I gave it the middle of the best category for animation. So go figure. That's what I did. I knew I wouldn't agree with all of them. I don't feel like I feel like it deserves the meh rating, but the next movie is The Rescuers, and I gave The Rescuers the high end of the meh rating. I do think that The Rescuers deserves this. It's a decent movie. It looks pretty in a lot of ways, and it's definitely more original than like Robin Hood is, but it's certainly not one of the best movies that they've done. The Fox and the Hound is one of those more middle-of-the-road type of movies. It received the low end of the meh rating. I think this movie just didn't quite hit the mark as far as animation goes. It's fine. It's a fine movie as far as animation goes, but it's not the best movie. It's much better in content than it is in animation. The Black Cauldron, on the other hand, is kind of the opposite of the Fox and the Hound. The Black Cauldron, about the only good thing about the movie is its animation. It has decent animation. I would even say at times it has some beautiful animation. It has an awful, awful premise and terrible, annoying, kick you in the face, smack you in the neck characters that just make me want to just puke. The Great Mouse Detective, I gave a meh rating to also, but I gave it the highest rating in the meh category that I could possibly give it. It is a beautiful movie in so many different ways. I really do love the Great Mouse Detective in just about every way. It has a lot of tension to it, but right now we're talking about animation, and in animation, it's probably one of the worst parts of the Great Mouse Detective, but it is still a beautiful movie as far as even animation goes. And it fits, again, the style. It does have more of a sketchy, blurry style that goes very well with the like Sherlock Holmes kind of a tale that it's telling. Oliver and Company, I hated in just about every single category, and animation is one of those also. The animation I don't feel like is good. The like cat characters are so overly cute that they lose a lot of their believability, and then the human characters are so overly ugly that I'm not sure even what they were trying to do. If they were trying to turn us off from like the bum character and make us hate him, but then kind of overcompensate for him in his character development, where he kind of becomes better a little bit, but even then I wouldn't really say he becomes better. I didn't like this movie. It's not one that's one of my favorites, and if you disagree with me, that's fine. Please leave a note down in the comments and tell me how much I am pig for not liking it. Anyway, what do you guys think? I want to hear from all of you guys on what your thoughts on animation are. Which movie would be your personal favorite for animation? I will talk to you again soon. Remember to like and subscribe. If you've gotten to this point in this video, please leave a like right now. And I will talk to you again soon in another couple of days. Bye.